In the year 2001, after the world had watched in helpless horror the destruction of the Bamiyan Buddhas, UNESCO decided to create a day to observe and respect world cultural diversity. So the UN General Assembly decided that 21st of May every year will be World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. It's wrongly called World Day for Culture. Not too wrong, but I'm just being specific on what it means. I'll just dwell on one binary other for culture. Culture is not fashion. Fashion is owned by brands, by big corporate conglomerates. Fashion is business. Culture is different. Culture is owned by community. Fashion tells you a lie. The fashion industry tells you that creativity is actually wearing fashion. But actually, fashion is imitation. For the creator of the first cut, it is creativity. But for somebody who has money, who wants to be like the other person, who wants to be with the set, it's a loss of individuality, it's a loss of imagination. Culture is not the same thing. Culture is owned by community, as I said, and culture is organic and evolutionary, and there is no copyright on it, except that it stays with the community. We can respect pizza if we can respect roti, and you can respect a donut if you can respect, I don't know what, a medu vada, I don't know. All that I'm trying to say is that cultural diversity means to find yourself in community, because who you are cannot be realized by trying to be somebody you're not. Who you are can be realized by going to your core, by traveling inwards and finding what made you who you are. And I think that in this time, in this great crisis of a lifetime that we are facing, we must understand that if biodiversity is important, then for humans, cultural diversity must be equally important. So, happy World Day for Cultural Diversity.
Hi, my name is Adya Kumar. I am 18 years old and I'm an acting student. So with cultural diversity comes more exposure to different perspectives, different worldviews, different philosophies. When you have access to all these different perspectives, then I feel like I can look at a problem with multiple angles. I can look at situations that are happening in my life with different lenses, and it makes me a better person, because I cannot be so quick to judge someone else's actions or someone's mindset even, because if not understand, at least appreciate somebody else's differences, then you are more likely to not judge them. Cultural diversity and learning about different cultures and being exposed to different cultures is essential in our society, because with that, it makes people more open-minded. It helps people understand and not be afraid of, people or customs or cultures that are different from their own, and that gives way to a more accepting, a more loving, more peaceful society. I believe people are always going to be afraid of what they don't know or what is different. And if more people are exposed to different types of people, then they're less likely to be afraid of other humans. You know, humanity will not be against.
Namaskaram. My name is Praveen Kumar. I'm a Bharatanatyam artist. India is a land of unity in diversity. Like we have biodiversity for the nature, we also need the cultural diversity for the humanity purpose. Respecting different cultures, their differences, the social norms helps one to understand and appreciate the beauty of these cultures and tradition. For me, being in this art, every allied art, be it music, painting, literature, architecture, even the movies, I think they've all influenced over the years, across the generations, and they've flourished all over the world for people to understand our culture and tradition. In same way, when I travel to the other parts of the world on my performances, I am more aware of the richness of our cultural heritage, and at the same time it amazes me how as their culture and our culture can have a common point to meet, and that leads to a good amalgamation and collaboration in many ways. We have imbibed, exchanged, collaborated with different cultures also, and made it as a part of our system.
Hello, I am Pascal Loverne, bass player from Lille, France, and I wanted to share a few thoughts in a little music today. Today is UNESCO World Day for Cultural Diversity. This is what we share in Nandi. Nandi is an Indo-European jazz band made up of Gautam Suresh, master percussionist from Chennai, Stéphane Orins, piano player from Lille, and myself on bass. The little musical excerpt that I played at the beginning is the melody from one of our tunes, Eka Aneka. Eka Aneka, Eka means one, Aneka means many. So one, many, it's really an example of the concept of unicity in diversity. This is really what we share through our making up of the music, composing, playing, and mixing elements from Indian Carnatic music and jazz. I will leave you with another little musical excerpt from another song which is recorded and will be part of our upcoming CD, which has yet to get a title. But the song has a title, and it's called MYO, for many yet one, and it's another take on the same idea through dialogue, whether it is a musical dialogue or in daily life. We can create a beautiful diversity. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Namaskar. My name is Meera Mishra Kaushik. I was born in Belgrade, capital of former Yugoslavia. My parents were from Uttar Pradesh, but I returned to live in Madhya Pradesh and finally settled in a very Punjabi Delhi. Went to a very Victorian Bengali school and a multicultural hub of excellence later on in university. I married a Haryanvi and moved to live in England. My children are British Asian. I am an Indian national, but I do have a permit to live in United Kingdom. My other culture includes radio, theatre, visual art, cinema, and I work for the dance sector here in England. All my work embraces a wide range of influences and practices that I have experienced in my cultural life. I believe in valuing all my multiple cultural identities, which are shaped by many languages, traditions, norms, race and religious interactions I have had in a culturally diverse life of the world I live in.
I live in a very diverse area and city, so it kind of makes me treat everyone normally and equally because it's normalized for me. I've been living with them my whole life. For other people, it's different because they're in all white communities. But for me, I see like all types of people and I'm like, yeah, that's normal. Those are humans. We are all humans. It's all the same.
I was thinking about what culture was, and when you think about culture, culture is something that is defined by a community of people. It comes from practices that the community follows, and these encompass social practices as well as artistic practices that are born of social practices and interaction. And these social practices are born of what the community as a whole thinks of is as right and wrong, what they define as norms of communication, what they define as their, in many ways, their moral code, if you would like to call it that. So now what happens is that a society has a particular thought process and they have certain practices that are developed based on what they believe is the right way to communicate to another human being. Actually, that's actually what it is. It's how you define communication or how we interact with one another as people. And from this interaction, there is a certain gesture that is born in our bodies. Gesture defines dance, and from these interactions, we also understand what the preferences. From these interactions, we also understand what the preferences is in terms of music. So music and sculpture and food and all of this is born in many ways out of what a society likes and dislikes, you know. So this is what is culture in many ways. And I think that diversity in culture is very important because all of us are not made the same. We may be from the same place, but even within a particular city or a particular country, diversity must exist to accommodate every single person. And all of us have our own preferences. We have our own backgrounds. We have different things that motivate us, different things that inspire us. and that's okay, because anyway all these choices are ultimately, they are arbitrary choices. It doesn't mean that one choice is better or worse than the other. So diversity makes it more colorful, it makes life more beautiful, and it makes us accept that despite the differences, we are the same, and the differences are just arbitrary differences. They're just things that we must look at as something that adds color and beauty to our life. So let us celebrate cultural diversity, and happy cultural diversity.
Namaste everyone. My name is Preeti Upala, and I would like to wish you all a very happy Cultural Diversity Day. This is a very special day appointed by the UNESCO organization, and I think it's a day where we all get to really reflect on how important cultural diversity is for each nation and for the world at large. India is in a very important and interesting position because we have such a great, rich, profound civilizational history, and culture and cultural diversity is at the very essence and foundation of this incredible civilization. I think India is the most open, pluralistic, and syncretic civilization that absorbs everything that has come through, and it marries and combines everything so that what you end up with is just something beautiful and something that's very inclusive. And I think it'll always be this way. And we must never forget our arts and tradition and history and culture and language, which makes us unique in the world. I think India has some of the most impressive and precious soft power in the world. And I think we must all uphold it and cherish it and celebrate it, and just be proud of who we are in the world and continue to be so, because I truly think that we are a Vishwaguru, and we really do show the world the way forward. And I think it's about time that we step up and take that role. Cultural diversity is such an important part of India, of Indian history and the Indian state, and I think we must all be proud of that. We come from all over and mingled and amalgamated to this beautiful nation, and we have much to share with the world, whether it's things like secularism or openness, tolerance, or the syncretic nature. It's a truly impressive and very unique. The unique selling point of India is its diversity and its richness. And so I wish you all a very, very happy cultural diversity day here. And Jai Hind.
Diversity has made a really big impact on my life because I live in a place where diversity is normal and everything is normal for me, and I treat everybody the same.
Today we're celebrating UNESCO's World Cultural Diversity Day. My name is Nima Finkelu Uskila, and I play the violin and I sing.
My name is Biggie Finkelu. I play the saxophone and the flute. I grew up in German and French culture. Although these countries are neighbors, their culture is very different. Then I came to Sweden, which is yet another culture. And since 2001, I live part-time in California. I started with Western classical music and French traditional folk music and chanson, and in Sweden I came into contact with traditional Swedish music and psalms, and in the US I learned how to play jazz with my Afro-American friends and salsa with my friends from Central and South America.
Biggie and I have been spending a few months in India, mainly in Bangalore, where we were fortunate enough to play with absolutely amazing musicians. For us, culture is a very wide concept. It encompasses language, custom, tradition, beliefs, and value systems. And we believe that culture is formed by its people. As long as there have been humans, there has been mobility. People have been traveling, moving, and migrating. And when people move, they bring new elements to other cultures, and they bring new elements back home. And this is manifested in music. We believe that music would not be interesting or indeed exist if it weren't for cultural diversity, if it weren't for people exchanging ideas, influencing each other, and discovering new ground together.
Musicians, and in fact all kinds of artists, are often at the front line, finding ways to bridge over borders and cultural differences. They find ways to communicate beyond words and strict rules, and they are open and curious about new perspectives and horizons. All people want the same, regardless of their color, ethnicity, culture, or gender. They want to be part of a vibrant, positive community.
And that's why we think cultural diversity is vital.
Yes, I am Tiziana Barbiero, and nowadays I am the artistic director of Teatro Tascabile di Bergamo. I say nowadays because TTB was founded in 1973 by Renzo Vescovi, who was the director, the leader, the pedagogue director of our group until 2005, when suddenly he passed away. Our first contact with the disciplines of Inster theaters date back to 77 and 78, when for the first time we saw Indian dancers here in Italy. They were Aloka Panikar, an Orisi dancer, and Saroja Kulkar, who danced Bharatanatyam. They were both great performers, and we fell in love at the first sight. And since then, the study of Indian dances, in particularly Orisi, Bharatanatyam, and Kathakali, have been at the center of our research. But actually, the interest in Asian theatrical cultures, and consequently in Eurasian theater, that is the region of theatrical knowledge where the great classical tradition of Asia are intertwined with those of Europe and the West, this interest is a field that became fertile already at the beginning of the 20th century, and the great masters of the Western reform of that time, from Stanislavski to Meyerhold or to Artaud, had embarked on ways of study, of imitation, of comparison with the Inster theaters. What made TTB different was that it wanted to go deeper into learning the technique of these disciplines and study Indian culture. It was not enough for us to read books or to do short seminars. We wanted to dedicate our entire existence, starting a deep intercultural and transcultural process in respect of individual identities. Today, our 42 years have passed since that first meeting. 42 years of continuous study from generation to generation. India has also been for us a sort of mental place of reference for the ethical culture of our group. And finally, India is for us a birthplace to which we can always return, but in which we do not have to live. Here I think is the difference with other experiences of Western actors who decide to become Indian dancers. What have we gained from it? There is a beautiful line of a poem of Tagore that says, more or less, a hem of embroidered flowers, and the nights and days are embellished forever.
On this planet, everyone is searching for peace and true happiness. Especially in these times of troubles, we need to feed ourselves with great values. One of the highest values I know is the art forms, especially music. I play music myself, that's perhaps why. Music can really change the art of people. It has this wonderful power. Music transcends borders, differences between people. Cultural diversity has to be protected. It's the treasure of this world, the gift of our ancestors. We need to carry about this gift, this treasure. Each country has their own gifts. Each people is different. Each people is a treasure by himself. As we need to protect people, we need to protect our cultural diversity. During my late teens, I have been deeply touched by classical Indian music. I couldn't understand what it was about. It has just touched me deeply. It was not a question of aesthetics or knowledge about this art that touched me. The cultural diversity transcribes this searching process of peace and true happiness in pure beauty that reveals the treasure of humanity.
Hi, my name is James, and I would like to join you in celebrating World Cultural Diversity Day. I would like to give a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. I do not want my house to be walled in on all sides, and my windows to be stuffed. I want the culture of all lands to be blown about my house as freely as possible, but I refuse to be blown off my feet by any. For me, this quote from Mahatma Gandhi sums up cultural diversity, but not just that, it sums up the need to be open-minded, to be tolerant of other people from other cultures. And it sums up how our lives can be much richer, and they are much richer from cultural diversity. We are lucky we live in an age where cultures are all around us. It makes our lives so much better. We have the opportunity to go to Italian restaurants, to Chinese restaurants. We have the opportunity to dress in different fashion brands from across the world. Most of us have an opportunity to travel, to see different countries, and if not, to watch Hollywood movies, or Bollywood, or Tollywood, or maybe African movies. We have an opportunity to embrace cultures and to embrace people of other cultures. And for me, cultural diversity is something that we should all embrace, and we're very lucky to live in a time where we have the opportunity to embrace these cultures. So thank you, and happy Cultural Diversity Day.